Okay, so here's what I'm using. I've got the iDye poly. This is for synthetic fabric, so it should work better on resin than the RIT dye, which is for natural fibre, because the RIT wouldn't work on the Chiron. This is his head cap that I tried to dye with RIT, and it's barely beige, and you can see compared to the other body parts it's barely taken any colour. So the iDye poly should do it. The colours are very limited with the iDye poly, but you can mix the colours to get what you want. So I'm using brown and golden yellow. I've got tongs and a slotted spoon. I'll need the slotted spoon for his little pegs that hold his hooves together. And I use urea in my dye. When I dye, it just helps to set the colour. So I've got a big stainless steel pot heating, and I'll dissolve some urea in that shortly before I put the dye in, just so I can make sure all the urea dissolves properly before the water's coloured. And all his parts are strung, ready to be dipped. Things that are in pairs are strung together so that they can be dipped at the same time to make sure that the colours are going to match. I'll start. I haven't removed his face up. I'm going to try and see how that works out. Hopefully it will take dye nicely and I can just leave it as it is. If not, I'll have to clean it and come back to it. I'm going to dye his human upper body parts first to get the tan I want. I'll start with that head cap to test the colour and see that I'm getting the colour that I want, and then I'll do the horse body parts after that, because they can be slightly darker than the human upper torso. Okay, so my pot's pretty full. My water is really hot, but not boiling. I don't want it boiling, so I'm going to put the dye in. I've just snipped the corner off the packet. I don't want to put all of it. I'll just put some in, a bit of brown and a bit of yellow, and we'll see how we go. So that's the brown. I've got a lump in it. These are soluble packets, but I don't want to put the whole thing in, so I just made sure my hands are really dry while I'm handling it. Put it this for half. Okay, that's about half the packet. And put it back on there. I'll put some yellow. Yeah, I don't want a chocolate brown. I want sort of a more gold tan. Yeah, it seems to be floating on the surface a lot. Come on, dude, other packet. Okay, I'm going to stir that, and then I'm going to get just a strip of white paper and dip it and see what the colour looks like, so I know if I've got the colour that I'm after. Okay, I've got it. Okay, so I test dipped a piece of paper, the Flufflepuff Doodle, to see if I had the right colour that I wanted. That looks pretty good. So I've dipped the head cap for a couple of seconds, and I don't know if you can see, but it's really quite a nice sort of honey brown compared to the arms. So I'm going to try the head. Now excuse the shaky camera that's not going to always be pointing in the right direction because I'm filming with one hand and dipping with the other. So I'm going to swirl his head around in here, and hopefully he's going to end up the right colour and it's not going to completely ruin the face up. So here goes. So in just a couple of seconds it takes on quite a lot of colour. Now that's enough colour for me. I'm going to take that piece and I'm going to rinse it in here. I've got salt and vinegar and some water that I just use. It's just another level of fixative to help set the colour, and I'm quite happy with that. It's not as dark as his head cap. I might go another couple of seconds. Just shake him off. and it's dangling by the string. Now the water is really hot but not boiling. Okay, I'll just shake the excess dye off there. It's probably, I would say, got quite a bit of sealant on this head because it's the original company face up, and I don't want to remove it, so it's probably going to take longer to dye the face than it probably will to dye the parts that don't have any sealant on, which have been cleaned. Okay, I'm going to give him another rinse. I'm liking that colour. That's a really nice bronzy tan there next to the white pin. That's looking pretty good. So then now what I want to do is I want to dip the other part, starting with the part that connects to that, so I can match the colour to it. Okay, so there's the chest. This dye seems to be working really, really well. Now it seems to darken ever so slightly after you take it out of the dye as it cools. So I'll just do it for a short time and then I'll rinse it. And then we'll put it next to his head and have a look at what the match is like. No, it needs a little bit more. I'm really pleased with that I've managed to dye his face without losing his face up. That's really cool. Okay, so just swirl the chest in again. Yeah, basically you want to try and keep it all submerged, but you don't want it to sit on the bottom where the elements are because you don't want it to get melted from the heat of the element. Rinse it. It's not, the chest looks slightly pinker in the head still. I'll give it another go. And see if we can get it a bit closer. I've got this pot spread over 2 elements, so there's heat at both ends. And you want it sort of as hot as you can get it without boiling it really. Okay, so we'll look at that. It's not exactly the same. I think the sealant might be having an effect on that, but I'm going to leave it at that for now and do the next piece. So this is his abdomen. Try not to get the dye to blow over. And these parts I can submerge them, but the difficult part is going to be that horse chest there. It's the widest part and it's going to be really difficult to keep that all under the dye. If it starts to look like it's weakening the strength of the dye, then I'll add more, but I mean at this point it's just a matter of leaving it in for longer to get it darker. Okay, let's shake the dye out of that. There's something very weird going on here. I'm guessing that the glue he was sueded with has left some sort of residue in the resin. I'll just give that a scrub and see if we can't get rid of that white blotchy bit there. Okay, I've given that bit there a bit of a scrub. I'm just going to try and put that end in and see if I can get a bit of colour on that part. The yellow seems to float a lot on the surface of the dye, so it seems to be taking it better now. I'll give the whole body a go in. I don't want it in too long because it'll be darker than the chest piece, but what I might do is just actually physically paint some dye in that white patch later on to even it up. give that a rinse. It has taken the dye better, but still there is a problem there. Go that way. So, colour is pretty good, colour match wise. So we'll go on to, I'll do these little bits from the upper arm and the elbow. Oh yeah, and they have magnets in, so I have to try not to let them hit the bottom. Oh, yeah, it's a bit tricky. These ones actually had to go in the rit, so they may have a slightly odd colour because the rit kind of made them grey. Hopefully we can get them pretty close. That looks pretty good. And I'll rinse them. Oh, that looks awesome. Cool. So now I'll go on to his upper arms and we'll match them to the chest piece. Trying to get them nicely under the surface, so that hopefully they'll get nice and even. And not touching the bottom too much. Maybe slightly more. It'll be interesting to see how the hooves and horse legs do. Those parts have all been sanded, so to get the old blushing off them, so they may have some sort of texturing that we'll see shortly. That is pretty good. Okay, so we'll do the lower arm and then we'll do the hands. Yeah, I'm sorry about the weird camera angles. Sometimes I forget because I'm trying to watch what I'm doing. Moving them around in the dye also seems to help break up the yellow. The yellow seems to want to sit on the surface. So this also helps keep that mix so that the colours are more even. It seems to be a really nice colour at the moment, which is great. Yeah, slightly more for those. Okay. Let's give them a rinse and check them. Yep, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we'll do the hands. They're a bit tangled in that. He's been sitting in a box for about 6 months, waiting to be dyed. Now, maybe I'll just loop this through or something, see if I can do something so that their hands won't be leaning on each other when they're in the dye. But there we go. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of horse parts to dye. I might not bore you with all of those, so we'll do the hands and then we'll maybe see how we go with that horse chest piece. and then I'll do most of the horse chest pieces, and I might come back to you for the hooves. I might try and get them a bit darker. Okay, pretty good. Alright. Now his hands have come out a funny colour. Quite orangey in places. And that might also be because of the brushing that I removed to head black painted fingernails. Let's see. I'll let them dry for a bit and then I'll come back to them and see what I'm going to do with those. So we've done excuse me, all the human parts. I'm going to give this bit a go because this is these two pieces here, the butt and the chest, are the biggest, most interesting bit, and I have a feeling that this one is going to be a right pain in the butt, so you can watch me have a struggle with this one and then I will stop filming for a little bit and come back to filming later on when I'm doing the hooves. So I'm just going to try and roll it backwards and forwards and store all the bits of it get in the dye. And hopefully I'll get an even colour. I'm just rolling it over. I'm trying not to spill dye all over the place. Seems to be doing alright. So I'll leave you for a bit and do some of these horse bits, and then we'll come back later on at the end and have a look at the hooves. Okay, so I finished dyeing all the parts. I didn't come back for the hooves. The dye was very tired at the end, so it was taking a long time to get colour on it. I tried to just get the hooves up to here to get them to go darker on the bottom. It's slightly darker, but it's not as profound as I want, so I'll just paint that. I think the moral of the story is don't sand or magic sponge because it's going to create texture. It affects how the dye takes on the resin. And you can dye ahead with the face up and not destroy the face up. So look at that. He's wet, so he's a bit shiny, but it still looks great. The dye has worked really well on the stove as well, and stained all the plastic parts there, so my mum's going to be really happy about that when she comes home. I think I'll take some white vinegar to that later on and try and get that off. So the only thing to do now is to let all the bits dry, and then I will try and put them back together. It's been so long since I took him apart, I have no idea how he was strung, so it's going to be quite interesting. I did the hands again. The still has sort of, they came out a bit better the second time. They're still a little bit wet, so it's slight difference in colour, but there's still a slightly weird yellowness in places on the hand. I guess that has to do with whatever his fingernails were painted with when I cleaned it off. And I dipped this part again to try and get rid of this blotchy bit here. It did cover most of it. There's still a few places, and along there where the glue was, where most of that glue was, I'm not too worried about that because that bit sits up inside the torso, so it's not really visible. That I can just brush over. So yeah, it's not exactly the colour brown I wanted, but I'm pretty happy with that, and his face looks really good. Yeah, so successful dye job.